Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 73 today on the Red Bra Project. I am so excited to bring to you our amazing guest today. We have been crushing on her for a while and everything she's doing out there. So we're so excited to bring her energy and her motivation and her inspiration to you guys. That's right, for the beginning of 2021. We are so excited to introduce you to Stella Ihenacho. Yay! On the Red Bra Project. So welcome to the show, Stella. We're so
Thank
excited to
you.
have you.
Thank you so much, Renee. I'm just excited to be here. I can't wait to talk with you, to know more about what you guys do, about what I do. I'm honored to be on your platform for sure. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. And it's such, and talking about platforms, we're going to be visiting yours shortly.
Yes.
But why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about where you're from, kind of what you do and what your background is. And I just
Sure.
have to say, I love your name, by the way. I think it is
Thank you.
beautiful. And I know you have a little unique story with that.
Yes, I do. Yes. So, hi everyone. My name is Stella Ihenacho. I am originally based in Atlanta, but I was born and raised in Nigeria, and then moved over to. I went to the UK for my master's, and then I moved over to the States because I got married. So I'm a mom, and I'm a wife, mom to three girls, wife to one. I have a 9 to 5 where I use my professional experience as a project manager and an agile coach, helping companies execute their projects, be it in the technology space or the creative space. But I'm also the founder of Women Doing It Afraid, which is my amazing platform that I love, where I truly help women overcome their fears, their limiting beliefs, mindset blocks, and showing them what is so possible in their life if they can literally just do it afraid. I'm also a business owner. I have a business that I run with my husband where we teach professionals who are looking to go into high performing jobs, how to get into high performing jobs and how to get really good compensation for their skills. So in a nutshell, that is kind of like what I do.
Wow, Stella, that's a big globe right there. That's amazing. My
Thank
first
you.
question is how in the world do you find balance and fit it all into
Uh,
the day, being a mama of your three babes and a wife? How do you do it?
yeah. How do I do it? Let me tell you, in just honesty, it's not an easy ride per se. I remember one time, like I knew that I had so many gifts and talents, and I would be so overwhelmed. Like, how do I do this? How do I make sure that I'm not dropping the ball here? How do I use all these gifts? I can, for example, I can sing, I can write, I can help women, I can help people get into great careers, I can help people start their businesses. So just all this multi-talent sometimes can be a curse if we don't navigate it properly. And I have been through that for sure. And so for me, what I'm learning to do is sometimes less is more. And sometimes you don't have to do everything all at once, because in doing that, I found out that I would spread myself thin, I would get exhausted, I wouldn't get the results that I want to get, and I wouldn't be satisfied or have that sense of fulfillment, and so instead of being happy or feeling blessed that I have all these gifts, instead I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm feeling resentment. So what I do nowadays is to really block out my goals, block out the things that I want to do. So right now I'm focusing on this and I give it my all. I know that, but the fact that this is in the back burner doesn't mean that it's not existent. It just means that this is not the time for it. And when the time comes for it, I give it all that I have to give. And even with the women that have come through my platform, I've also realized most of the time as women, because we are passionate, we have so many ideas, so many gifts, and so many balls that we're juggling all at once. Sometimes everything just drops to the floor and then we assume that we're not worth nothing. So I always tell the women, take it one step at a time, one step at a time. See something through to the end. It will give you momentum to start the next thing. So for me, balance is just really, what are you doing right now? Focus on it and see it to the end before you start something else. So that's how I kind of like balance things out.
I love that. And you're so right about how when you are multi-passionate and you want to do
Yeah,
this and this and this and this, and then you have your life and your
yeah.
every daily responsibilities, it can
Mm-hmm.
feel overwhelming and messy
Oh,
to
tell me
approach it.
about it.
Sometimes you
Yeah.
are so you don't know which way to go that you're
Mm.
literally paralyzed almost to you don't know where to start.
It's so
So
funny because you would have so many things that you have to do, but then you're stuck.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then you're like, how am I supposed to proceed? But you got so many open-ended items. And that's because we started so many things and then we're all over the place. So I always say, do less. Start with one and see through to the end. Finish it so that you can say, I finished it. You
Yeah.
know, so I mean, I think that that would really help any woman who feels overwhelmed and stuck at the same time.
Hmm. It's kind of like when you have all the tabs open on your computer too, and you're like, I need to get back to this tab, and this tab, and this tab.
That is absolutely right. That is absolutely. And then sometimes the systems crash, and your computer can crash because you have so many tabs open up. And so as human beings, too, we can crash because our mind is going on in a cycle, right? Just close out all the tabs. Just
And
focus on
start
one,
over.
and yeah, reboot your system. Like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna just start again and start with one and see through to the end and
Mm,
be dedicated, at that thing and giving my all. And then let me see the results, and just build momentum that way. Yeah.
hmm. Yeah, I love that. And so you are a career woman and a family woman, and I mean that is again, that is just so admirable, and the work that you're doing, just really helping people to hone in on what their focus is, how to approach it, and then watch them do it. Talk to me a little
Right.
bit more about that process. And is that what you have always done? Is that your natural talent?
I think that talent has always been there, but I never really gave it. I never really saw it as a gift. I just saw it as, when you do something so naturally, it's almost like you don't appreciate it. You know, um, and for a very long time, I've always helped my friends or my family go out of that whole being stuck in their mind. Oh, I'm scared to start. Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what next step to take. And I walk them through it, and I go through that. Why are you stuck? What is going on, and we do a deep dive as to what is the cause for the feeling of what you're feeling. Let's really go to the bottom line, because sometimes someone might say I'm stuck, but maybe they're not really stuck. Maybe they're just afraid of failure. Maybe they're afraid of success, about what would people say. Maybe they feel like they don't have the tools in place, or they've seen someone else do it and they think, oh, I want to do it. So I always do a deep dive, because before I can give you a solution, I really need to know what the problem is. And most of the time, I think we try to get solutions to issues, but we're getting the wrong solutions because we're not looking at the right problem. And so I've always done that to people around me. And one day, with the whole story of women doing afraid, I kind of like realized that I would help other people get out of their own mindset blocks. Show them what is possible, help them start their businesses, push them out there, give them, the courage to go for opportunities, to apply for grants, or to do pitch videos, and things like that. But when it came to my own idea, I would give myself a reason why. It's so funny. I would give myself the reason why it might not work out for me. Oh, I just moved to this place. I don't know anybody. And then one day, just realized, nah, I'm not giving myself the same energy that I give other people. And that's why I kind of like created Women Doing It Afraid, because I realized that there are a lot of women who help other people, who champion other people, but they don't champion themselves.
Oh, that is such a that's a great point.
We push other people, we show kindness to other people, we love on other people, but we can't reciprocate that back to ourselves. It's like we're not worthy of that love.
Hmm.
We're not worthy of that energy.
Right.
And so I'm like, nah, enough of it. So now it's like, do it afraid. No matter what the fear is, no matter what the experience might be, no matter where you've come from, you have an opportunity to do it afraid. That fear is just an indication that there is something more,
Yeah.
right? There is
Yeah.
greatness on the other side. So that's how I really walk through with the women. And so far, it's been amazing. I've just honed, because I've seen that this is my gift. This is something that I've been blessed with, and so I'm running with it. So coaching women, organizing events, showing them other women like them,
Yeah.
because that's something I've also realized. Sometimes we're in our own bubble. We don't see people who can give us hope. And so we think our limit is our neighbor. When you see that there are other people around you who've been through what you've been through,
Yeah.
who've broken through, uh, you know that there is more for you,
Oh
and
yeah.
so that's what I do really.
I love it. When you identified that internal piece that you were pushing out towards others and supporting, and you're like, wait a minute, Stella, you need to turn that inward.
Yes.
With that, were you able to work on it by yourself, or did you turn to mentors or coaches? How did you go about that process once you identified it?
So both ways. So I did it internally, and then I began to look for other women who I felt looked like what I knew I could become.
Hmm.
And so I got closer to them, because sometimes, like I said earlier on, You need to see people who have broken through so that you see what's possible. And that's why I always encourage people. Traveling is really important because when you travel, you get to experience other cultures. You get to see other people speak other languages. You get to see things that are not norm to you. So it shows you what is possible. And so back to your question, I did it internally first because I strongly believe that intrinsic motivation is very important, is because I might go out and get a coach and learn from other people, but if I don't have the self-discipline to use what I have learned for myself, it's going to be just a bunch of information that I have gathered, but no result to show for it. So I had to come to a point where I'm like, you know what, the work you need to do, you have to do it. Someone can tell you, oh yeah, go for it, you're great. But you, at the end of the day, they're not going to be with you in your house when all those self-limiting thoughts come back up in your mind. So you have to fight through it and do it. You might have the tools, but you have to put the tools into work. So for me, it was both ways. It was me doing the work, me saying, what do you want to become? What is your legacy? Do you want to be an author? Write that book. Do you want to help women? You got to help yourself first. Do you want to be a speaker? Then figure out what's your message. What is your story? Own your story, own your authenticity. But then also looking at other women out there who I know are doing great and like, how are they doing it? I want to learn from them, buy their books to get coaching from them. So it was really both ways for me internally, but also surrounding myself with, people who looked like they knew exactly what they were doing, really. So
Yeah. And I mean, you talk about it, it's easy to talk about it, but then when you're like turning it inward and you say you want to do something, well, what would you tell somebody else to do? What would you maybe suggest, or how would you guide them? Well, that's what you have to do. And it's amazing
right.
when you start putting those actionable steps in. It's not ever clear at the beginning and you have no
Yeah.
idea. And it is fearful, like you said, but it's like somehow you just keep figuring it out.
Yep, exactly. You just have to figure it out, and I know that sometimes it's easy when we have the roadmap and things look like, okay, do A, B, C, D. We want to know the step by step, but sometimes you do A and then you go to 8.1 and then you go to Z and then you come back. That's the whole thing about just understanding yourself and self journey and self discovery. Is there's no A to Z. It's up and down, knowing what your strengths are, understanding what your weaknesses are, understanding what phase you're in, figuring out where to grow at, and so it's all about, we just have to own it. That, okay, I'm on this path of self-discovery. I need to own who I am and strive to be a better version of who I am right now. So, and that work starts from us internally, but where a coach comes in, for example, where I would help my clients would be identifying what that work is, giving them the tools to do the work, and also holding them accountable. So have you done it? What are the results? How do you feel? Okay, when are you going to do the next step? So that's where, it all ties in, but they have to do the work. Then I guide them through the process.
I love it. And so talk to us a little bit, that's like the perfect lead in. Talk to us a little bit about the connection and the difference between inspiration and action.
Oh,
How much time do we have, right?
I know, I know. That's an amazing question, because I remember one time I did an accountability group for some ladies, and I talked to them about what inspiration was, what their goals were, what did they want to achieve, and I gave them checkpoints. Okay, so in 3 days' time, I'm going to do another touch point with you to see how far you've gone, and things like that. And they were all pumped up in the beginning. Oh yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. And then before we know it, people started waning out. I'll be asking for feedback. I'm not getting feedback. I'm like checking in. I'm not getting check-ins, and I just laughed, because I just realized, you know what? We all want that high. We all want that excitement, but we're not, most of us are not disciplined enough to do the work. And that is the difference. Inspiration is the high. Inspiration is the wind that will take you up. But that action is you putting that parachute and navigating through everything, through the mountains, through the clouds, finding your balance, and then coming down to a place. And because of that work, a lot of us are looking for someone else to do the work. And that is the difference. I can inspire you. I can motivate you. I can tell you that I see greatness in you. But you need to take the next step. You need to do the work that is needed so that that greatness can be visible even for you as well. Right? And when people are angry with their coaches, most of the time it's because they expect their coach to bring out the greatness in them. Your coach can see the greatness in you, can inspire you, but that work is the action that is still left for you and I to do as women, right? To me, and that is the major, major difference. Is inspiration really is just the wind. The wind can blow you in any direction, can take you high, but that action is you navigating through, taking responsibility for where you land, how far you go, and when you stop. That is the major, major difference.
Mm,
And so when people go for conferences and they're excited,
yeah.
you still come back home. You still see everything around you that told you that you can't be anything. You still see issues around you. And that's where the action is how can I use what I have learned to take myself out of where I've been, where I am? That is the difference.
Mm. Oh, so good. How do you, okay, here's the follow-up. So you go, you're pumped up, the inspiration's flowing, you're creative, you're surrounded by other like-minded women, people who are supporting you. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you can do it. You move away from that place. You go
Yeah.
back home, you go back to your schedule. It's a week, 2 weeks, 2 months. How do you how do you suggest people dig back in to keep putting that action forward when they feel like they don't want to?
Okay. So different things, right? The first thing I would say is have a goal. So you've left that hype environment. And probably before you left, you said, okay, I was going to change. For example, maybe I'm going to change my eating habits because I want to be fit or I want to be better, in my health or how I look, etc. You have an idea of what you want to, what the end result is. Have a goal. And so you come in back to your environment. Start by the little steps, making changes. Now, this is the trap. This is where people fail. People think that when they come in, the change is going to be immediate. It's not going to be immediate. You have to start by the little steps, by cleaning out your pantry, cleaning out your fridge, having an accountability partner, going to the gym. Those little steps will take you to how you felt when you were in that zone of inspiration. And another thing is mindset is, first of all, the issue is we want to get that goal immediately. Truthfully, you can't get it immediately. You have to take steps towards that goal. The second thing is you also have to condition your mind to know that even if it looks like changes are not happening, there is a cumulative change at the end of the day. So be disciplined enough to put yourself through the work and stay the course.
Mm. Stella, you have gotten such an incredible perspective and work ethic.
Yes, thank you. You have to be disciplined enough to stay the course because the person that inspired you did not get their result in 1 week or 3 days. It's 14 years, 20 years of work that you are seeing on the stage inspiring you. But you've gone there and thought that you can get that result in 1 week. No, you have to be disciplined enough to take the small steps and also stay consistent through the end, through your journey. That is what I would really encourage people to do. And the last but not the least would be you can also keep taking that inspiration along. So those are people join communities so that even if they come back to their reality, they still see the hope. They still get inspired. So part of the community or having a coach or a mastermind or a group of people that still get you, they give you a glimpse of your future, even if you're still in your present. And so they give you the inspiration so that you can keep doing the work so that you can get to where you know you want to get to. So it is really taking actionable steps, being consistent through your journey, and finding a group that would still keep that fire burning. Even when you want to give up, they were like, no, you can't give up, but you still have to do the work. So to me, that would be, what I would really advise anyone who after 2 weeks, after 3 weeks, you feel like things are falling apart, go back. What were you inspired to do? Now break it into steps and just be patient, be patient, be patient, be patient.
Mm. Oh my goodness. This is like the best motivational speak. Our viewers are going to love this, love this. Which do you do speaking as well? Projects?
Yes, yes, I do. I do. I have people invite me to speak. I think last year was amazing. I spoke to, I think one of the like a group of board of directors of public schools here in Atlanta about fear and how to overcome fear. And then I spoke on that community about how to overcome conditioned-based fear. Because
Ooh,
sometimes we've been so much in the cocoon
yeah.
that our environmental conditioning has messed up our mind. And so we think we cannot achieve more because of where we've come from, our background, our culture. Because I'm African, I'm Nigerian, so I totally understand what it means to have condition-based fear, where you think people are better than you. So how do you break out of that? So that was an amazing time for me. So yes, I do
Mm.
speak.
And that was going to be one of my questions was, challenges in your past? Obviously, you have grown from the very, very beginning, growing up and your
Mhm.
lifelong lessons through being a child and teenager and adult and mother and wife.
Yeah.
What type of challenges have you been up against where you had to have kind of the inner talk with yourself and Stella, I can either go on this way or I can do this way? What are some of those examples?
That's a great question. So going back to my background a little bit, so I grew up in Nigeria and I'm the first daughter, and we have all these cultural things that usually come into play, but we don't understand the depth of the cultural boundaries until we are older, right? And so now I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm in a whole new environment, and I'm having to fight to see what I can become because where I'm coming from, nobody really affirmed me. Nobody really spoke life to me. And so I'm here and I'm seeing people doing great things, and I'm like, can this be me? I don't see myself talking to people. I don't see myself getting great job because I didn't have that. I wasn't shown that when I was growing up. So now I'm in this place, and I'm going to give you an example in my career, for example, right? When I was in the UK, I was like a project manager in an amazing company right there. And then I moved to the States and I realized I was kind of like finding it difficult to get a job. And so what I had to do was I had to take a step down just so that I could get a job. And then I get into this job and my manager realized that, okay, that I am way overqualified for whatever I was doing. And she tried to push me forward and all that. But still, I couldn't see the potential of what she was seeing in me. And so even when I had the opportunity to apply for other jobs out there, I was still struggling with myself to apply for a higher position because I thought like, I might go there and be embarrassed. I might go there and imposter syndrome. People are going to call me out and figure out, oh, she is not all that she said she was going to be, etc. Now, would you believe that I still pushed myself to apply for a higher position in a different company, and I go there and I'm like the star of the whole show. And people are like, wow, we love what you do. They want to learn from me. And why am I sharing this story? Is that most of the times we don't understand the power of what we have inside of us.
Mhm.
So we downplay it. So that's what I have done for a long time, is to downplay my voice, downplay my purpose, downplay like how did I start Women Doing Afraid? I would help other people. I could see potential in other people, but I couldn't see that potential in myself.
Mhm.
And so on a daily, for me, it is really saying, Stella, you can do this. Like there is nothing you cannot do. You just have to really commit your mind to it. And that anything that you think you cannot do, anything that looks complicated, anything complicated started with simple blocks.
Mhm.
There is everything that looks like it's impossible for you to do. Figure out what is the possible first step that I can take towards making this possible for me. And so that is me pushing myself out there, understanding that I'm gifted in my career. I can do this. I can manage complex projects. People are seeing the results. They want me to manage their projects. I would go on maternity leave and come back, and the clients will still request for me. And that is me not being able to see that for myself, but other people can see that in me.
Mhm.
And so that has been one of the areas that I've really walked through, which is owning my power,
Mhm.
owning that, yes, you might be a work in progress, but you're also perfection at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, understanding and believing in my gifts and knowing that I can grow towards this. So that is one area that I have definitely had to work through for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I feel like we can talk through so many, and I think that you said it perfectly in one sentence to give an overall picture. And it was, you didn't see certain things growing up. You weren't reaffirmed. You weren't
Yeah.
shown this is what you can do. And so you kept
Exactly.
learning along the way because your eyes
Yeah.
were wide open, your heart was open.
Yes.
And you wouldn't say no. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's a huge testament to your personality and your character. And I think that is an incredible thing to have in a role model and leader looking up. And so you exude it beautifully. So thank you for sharing that,
Okay.
which is a great segue into who are your mentors or a couple women in your life that you want to give a shout out to or
Mm.
celebrate? Who's been standing by your side?
Oh, absolutely. So I had My first, it's not first manager, no, but I had a manager here in one of the companies that I worked at, and she was just my champion. I mean, she was the first person who knew that my talents and gifts were way beyond my job description. And when my peers or my superiors would shout me out, she would blast that shout out to everybody who had ears to hear, like, Stella is doing great, Stella's amazing. And her name is Valerie Millsaps. She was definitely someone who was my ally for sure within corporate, and she just put me out there. She mentored me without even knowing she was mentoring me. She thought she was just the manager, so I definitely really appreciate her, just her friendship and how she stood by my side for sure. Another person I would love to really shout out is Sayu Abend. Sayu, she's an amazing woman. She's a CEO of a startup called SpacePoint. I worked with her at the beginning stage of her business, and ever since then, our friendship has evolved. It has turned from, just being very professional to really being personal friendship. And she would, almost be like my brainstorming partner when I had ideas. She would give me family advice. She was always there for me and all that. So I definitely, those two women I think have been amazing for me for sure. Just having strong women owning their own power, and they're not hiding, or they just open themselves to me. I think those two women I definitely admire.
Awesome. Giving them a shout out. I love that. And you said it already, it's so important. One of your three actionable steps is to have a support system. And
Yes.
sometimes that has to come in forms of being virtual to start off, or finding somebody to connect with, or you like their style, and then you reach out and people are willing to have conversations. I mean, it may feel like nobody's out there to be a support system at the time. And sometimes the people that are closest to you don't always understand how you're growing or why you're growing or how to support you, even though they want to. And it doesn't mean that you can't continue on relationships. It just means
Yes.
you just have to broaden your circle a little bit, I think.
That's right.
That's a
That's
great
absolutely right.
example. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
um, oh, so good. So talk to us a little bit more about Women Doing It Afraid. How long ago did you start it?
Oh, so I started Women Did It Free roughly about, I think, 4 years ago. And then when I started, it was just really more of a place for inspiration. So I'll put up content on Instagram, something to inspire the women who were following me and all that. So I never really thought about it as a business. It would just really come in here and be vulnerable, would help you and guide you through whatever fear you're facing, right? But from 4 years ago to now, it has definitely evolved for sure. Every year we have at least or two workshops. So we usually have an annual business workshop, and the tagline is for any woman who is serious about her business. If you're serious about your business, that is the place you want to be. Because what I do is I gather other like entrepreneurs who are also doing amazing in their own journey, and we teach women how to start their business or how to sustain it and how to scale it. Because I know that a lot of women are on different spectrum of the business ladder. So are you overwhelmed with an idea? We show you how to figure out what idea to choose, how do you start that business, and then how do you scale that business. So it's usually in the month of November, usually have in the month of November and May as well. Another thing that we do as well is, courses and coaching. So this year, I'll be launching our courses. So anyone who wants to, figure out how do I overcome imposter syndrome, how do I overcome fear, how do I, know the idea I have to use for my business, anything that has to do with business, purpose, overcoming fear, our courses are going to be centered around that. And then I do coaching as well, one-on-one coaching and group coaching. And so there's so many testimonies and testaments to women who've been through Women Doing Afraid and who have started their businesses, who have collaborated with themselves. Like, it just gives me so much joy to see a woman who had an idea, and I walk her through having a business and be able to have multiple streams of income. To me, I always say, can I resign? Can I retire now? Because just seeing just seeing these women just excel, and just also they have that community, because we have a Facebook group. So they have that community that keeps holding their hands through the process so that they know that they are not alone. And so that's how we've really grown on our platform. And yeah, so
Mm,
far so good.
I love it. And so start, sustain, and scale. I think those are like fantastic three S's, because it's so fun to start. But then once you start it, you're like, wait a minute, this is a lot of
Yeah.
work. So how do you sustain it? And then the whole
That's right.
scalability thing, because eventually you're going to grow. And so
Exactly.
that's something that I'm reminded of a lot too. And it's like, well, if you want to do this for one person, how do you do that for 100
A
or
lot of people.
1,000 or, and it's one of those things that you don't always think about at the beginning because you're like, I just want to figure this one part out.
Exactly.
So that's
You
such
just
a
you
great
exactly.
overview.
Exactly. You just want to start now, and then when you start, like, oops, okay, there's more.
Yeah.
We move around. How
So
do we navigate this? So that's what we always cover during our workshops. Yeah.
yeah. And so I guess, are they virtual, I'm assuming?
Oh yeah. So usually they're on site. Well, 2020 has told us that we're gonna do virtual because it was virtual last year and it was phenomenal. Oh my goodness. People from all over joined. So yes, I think we're gonna keep it virtual.
Awesome. Yeah. And that's the cool thing about the virtual aspect is anybody can join. So it can be
Anybody.
global and you don't
Yeah.
pay for travel. I mean, travel's amazing. I love travel. It's my world, but it's nice not to have to figure that out if you're a guest and you
Mhm,
want to attend, but you have all these
mhm,
priorities and then the cost
mhm.
factor. So that's an amazing
Exactly.
gift. Because,
Exactly. Yes. Oh, yes. It was virtual. We had people join from Africa. We had people join obviously from here as well. One of our speakers was from Canada. I'm from Nigeria. And so
awesome.
ladies were excited. It was almost like a group coaching because I made sure that at the end of the workshop that there was room for questions and answers. Because I'm like, you all have to leave here and know your next step. Whatever
Yeah.
question, I would call you out. I'm like, what questions do you have about your business? Ask us now because this is the perfect time, and people were using the opportunity to ask all sort of questions about marketing, Instagram, collaboration, and what tools should I use. And so it was just great. And I keep seeing the change. I keep seeing the women. I keep seeing, how they use what they learned in their business, changing their logos and changing their bios and making sure that color code looks good on their Instagram pages. So it's great.
Ah, so exciting. What's the best way for any of our listeners to reach out to you and to connect with you and Women Doing It Afraid?
Okay, sure. So to connect with me, very simple. You can either go to our website, www.womenbeingafraid.com, sign up to our mailing list, or you can send a DM on Instagram. Just DM. You can put the red bar, in your DM, so I know where you're coming from, and I can reach out to you as well. But these are like the two key part really. Sign up to our mailing list. Because on our mailing list, you get all the information about everything that we do, our virtual meetups that we're going to be doing every month for this year, our events, our coaching, our courses, so that'll be a good way for you to really stay on top of everything we're doing. And then you can send me a DM as well and I'll respond.
Awesome. Awesome. So Stella, I've got two more questions, but one
Okay.
is your name. Tell us a little bit about the legacy of your name because it is so cool. Just go ahead.
So Women Doing It Afraid. Um, it's when people say, wow, that name stands for, you say you know what it is. Women Doing It Afraid, and someone put a comment recently on one of my posts, aren't we all? Aren't we all doing it afraid? And so the legacy for me for Women Doing It Afraid is having just a thriving and engaged community of women who are doing it. They're doing it, they're working in their purpose, they're going for that greatness, they're changing their lives, and they are making generational impact. Fear or no fear.
Mm,
And for me, I'm trying to bust the myth that fear is for a select set of people. No, those that we call courageous are wearing their fear boldly and they're stepping out. So why can't you? Why shouldn't you, right? And at the end of the day, I remember someone said, why not women doing it courageously? Why not women doing it bold? Why women doing it afraid? I said, because boldness exists because fear exists. Courage exists because fear exists. If you don't mention the name fear, it doesn't make fear less powerful. We are saying we are doing it afraid because in spite of fear, we are going to do like fear, watch me work. That is really the legacy. It's like fear, watch me work. And so it's just really giving women the wings to fly, to say, I know you might be afraid, but we got you and you got this. And so please go for it. Your generation is depending on you. So please go for it. So that is our legacy, is just go for it, go for it, go for it.
the generational strength. That is just
Yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Which is you're just kind of, you're so easy to talk on, like the perfect segue. So with the Red Bra Project, our kind of infamous question is, throughout our lives, we have big red bra moments and small red bra moments. And it just depends what season of life we're in, what's going on. And so the red bra is something that is your confidence, that you always know that you have it, walking into a room, walking out to do something, taking that phone call, whatever it may be. If you are having a hard time, for some people, it could even be getting up in the morning and taking that first step. What is one really big red bra moment you have where you just kind of had it on underneath? It doesn't have to be showy. Some people it's showy, whatever works for you. But what's one red bra moment that you can look back on and you're like, wow, I showed up, I delivered, and I am so damn proud of Stella.
One red bra moment, I would say would be in my career. I went for an interview for a job that I have never done before. And before I left the parking lot, I was hired. Yes. Not only that, and then I got into this job and I had people who have been doing the same thing for years ask me to mentor them. And it just opened my eyes to just realize, man, girl, you've been sitting on your power for a very long time. And so just always having that in my mind made me realize that there is nothing that I can do if I commit myself to showing up and doing it. Showing up and doing it. Showing up and doing it. Even if you fail, so what? Even if it doesn't come up to your expectations, so what? You have that experience. And nobody can take that experience away from you. So to me, that was just, for a job I've never done before, for me to be called to mentor other people, I don't know what else is red bra, if not that.
That is awesome. That is a huge moment. Wow.
Yeah,
amazing. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Renee. Thank you for having me.
It was just such an honor to have you. And I'm so glad we're connected. We're in each other's worlds now. And we close out each one of our shows with a quote for our guests. So yours is, being brave isn't the absence of fear. Being brave is having that fear, but finding a way through it.
Yes.
And that's from Bear Grylls. So you are just the perfect shining example of that. And you have given us example after example in your own world. And I feel like this is definitely an episode that needs to be downloaded, needs to hit play on a couple of times. Whatever if you're feeling powerful, if you're feeling sassy, if you're feeling like you can't do it, Stella, you just delivered. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Renee. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you to everybody who tuned in with us. Please go and say hello to Stella. Follow her and her amazing greatness over at Woman Doing It Afraid. Make sure you follow us at the Red Bra Project. If this story resonates with you and you think of somebody who needs it in their life, please share it with them, because stories hold so much power and they share just so much hope and inspiration. So we are so grateful for each of you for being here. If you want to keep continuing to tune in with us, hit subscribe. That way you'll hear all the reminders of our YouTube show. Thank you guys. Have a great evening and rock it out there.
Bye, everyone.